Coming up tonight, all secondary school and junior college students will have at least 2 days of compulsory home-based learning by the end of next year. Accused of underpaying their foreign employees, 12 Cupcakes founders Daniel Ong and Jamie Teo were charged in court today. These tap dancers wearing tutus under their line dance costumes have withdrawn from next year's Chingay parade after attracting criticism. This is the Straits Times Newsnight. I'm Dylan Ang and thanks for joining us. HBL is going mainstream. First introduced during the circuit breaker, home-based learning will from next year become a regular part of schooling. Education Minister Lawrence Wong today announced that from term 3 in the new school year, all secondary schools, junior colleges and Millennia Institute will implement at least 2 HBL days a month. He said this will help students develop the mindset and habits for self-directed learning, as HBL days will be less structured than a typical day in school. The use of technology will also be essential, and every secondary school student will own a personal learning device by the end of 2021. ST Senior Education Correspondent Sandra Davy explains the need for HBL days.
Home-based learning inculcates a lot of what you call the 21st century competencies, being independent learners, being able to access information without much guidance from teachers. All these are going to become very important skills for the 21st century. So, and the pandemic and closure of schools and move to home-based learning just highlighted the urgent need for this, and rightfully so, teachers and the Education Ministry decided we can't wait for another 7-8 years.
It's a week before the new school year starts, and that means it's time to get new uniforms. But this was the scene outside uniform shop Jeep Singh Fashion this morning before police were called in to disperse the crowd. Parents began to arrive at the store at 8 a.m, 2 hours before its opening. And by around 10 a.m, more than 100 people were waiting to get into the shop, with some ignoring the 1-meter safe distancing requirement. Unfortunately for some, they were forced to leave the shop without getting new uniforms. Also making headlines tonight, Daniel Ong and Jamie Teo, founders of homegrown pastry chain 12 Cupcakes, have been charged with offences under Singapore's Employment of Foreign Manpower Act. The former radio DJ and his ex-wife arrived separately in court today, each facing 24 charges. They are accused of allowing 12 Cupcakes to underpay the salaries of 8 foreign employees between September 2012 and December 2016. Ong and Teo are due back in court next month. If found guilty, they could be jailed for up to a year, fined up to $10,000 or both per charge. Moving on to the COVID-19 situation in Singapore, 13 new cases were confirmed today. None were in the community or from workers' dormitories. All 13 were imported and placed on stay-home notices or isolated on arrival in Singapore. Let's take a look at what's been trending on social media and sparking conversations today. A new interpretation of a beloved Eurasian dish has stirred up a heated debate here. Homegrown food company Old Chang Kee has begun selling the Eurasian-inspired Devil's Curry O Puff since Boxing Day, to disapproval from some members of the community. Comments on the Eurasian Association's Facebook page were varied, to say the least. Some took offence and said it should be referred to as Curry Debal or Curry Devil and not Devil's Curry, and said that franchises cannot replicate traditional recipes handed down through the generations. Others, though, commended Old Chang Kee for wanting to recognise the Eurasian community. What do you guys think? Cultural appropriation or appreciation? Let us know in the comments. Local dance troupe Dance Spectrum International, which was slated to perform a tap dance segment in Chingay 2021, has decided not to participate in the annual celebrations. This in response to criticism from netizens. In a rehearsal video shared by Chinese newspaper Lianhe Zhaopao earlier this month, the 10 dancers aged between 14 and 30 were seen wearing tutus under their line dance costumes. A petition asking for the segment to be dropped from the event garnered over 1,200 signatures, with several supporters criticizing the performance for being inappropriate and disrespectful of tradition. DSI said its withdrawal is in consideration of the young dancers affected by cyberbullying. And no, it's not a scene out of Grand Theft Auto. A 26-year-old man has been arrested after injuring police officers and hitting several vehicles while attempting to escape. A video of the man escaping from a car park along Bukit Batok has been making its rounds on social media, showing the silver car reversing at high speed. The damaged front bumper is seen falling off in the process. Police said 2 officers were injured and later arrested the man in Jurong East. He is suspected of involvement in a case of rash act and also for drug-related offences and will be charged in court tomorrow. Over in sports, Everton wants answers from the Premier League after its match with rivals Manchester City was called off due to a COVID-19 outbreak. City confirmed a number of positive cases, in addition to 4 already reported on Christmas Day, which included Gabriel Jesus and Kyle Walker. The game was originally scheduled to be played in front of about 2,000 fans at Goodison Park. Everton has requested for more information so that the club can be clear on why this decision was taken. Brazilian footballer Neymar is planning to throw a New Year's party for 150 and not 500 people, according to the Fabrica agency who is organizing the event. Reuters reported that the Paris Saint-Germain forward has come under heavy criticism since details of the event were revealed over the weekend. Fabrica said the guests will be subject to strict health rules, adding that the event will take place in compliance with all sanitary norms as determined by public bodies. It went on to say that the event is private and that all relevant permissions have been obtained. And in case you missed it, if you're like me and commute using public transport daily, ever tried to put your finger on what color the Circle Line is? Is it yellow or orange? Well, it seems like it's orange and not yellow, according to LTA and SMRT. Posting on Facebook on Christmas Eve, the Land Transport Authority announced its official stand on the matter and cheekily asked, "Glad we've cleared this up," with an emoji. Well, now you know. Must admit, I've personally always called it the yellow line. And that wraps up the Straits Times Newsnight. Do visit straitstimes.com to see more news and videos. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the button below. And have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.